Hey, hello everybody, beauties and gents. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Let me hear you. Let me see you. If you guys are watching the replay, listening to this recording, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments if you are. If you're joining me, thank you. I appreciate it. Always say hi in the comments. Don't be a lurker. You know how I roll. I'm still in my workout outfit, which is great because this was started off as a wellness account. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's been a little bit of a change here with my handle. And I know you guys probably don't give a shit as much as I do, but for me, it was a big thing to let go of my Zen Hot wellness handle on this account. I still, I made another one or whatever. I just like made my Zen Hottie one. I turned it into the Zen Hot method, so I'm going to be kind of updating that one a little bit here and there. But yeah, I decided to just switch this account into something that's more aligned with me. And it's probably, like this is a little bit of a tangent, but at the same time, I can definitely segue this into what we're going to be talking about today, which is how clarity and creativity equals income. And you guys might just be watching that in the works because when I was talking to my coach yesterday, and it's funny because a lot of what was kind of holding me back in terms of evolving myself in my business and stuff like that is that I just didn't know exactly what to do with like this account and what kind of information to put on this account. Because I felt boxed in by the wellness kind of handle, because I was like, okay, it needs to be all kind of pertaining to wellness and stuff like that. So finally, I just let it go. And I just now am Julia Garcia, coach, and that's it. And I wish that this was my handle from the very beginning, because it could just be like an umbrella to like everything that I am and everything that I do. And I wouldn't have to be giving you this spiel today. Nonetheless, my Zen Hot brand is still in full effect. It's still my baby. I still love it. I still have a Zen Hot, wellness method on how to create better habits and really establish your wellness routine in a way that limits any of those or just completely demolishes any of those limiting beliefs in terms of creating one, and also diminishes any negative emotion that comes along with creating one. So I still have my signature method. I still have those signature wellness and mindset programs on my Zen Hot account, but this one's just going to be me, so and that's it. So and just like on a side note, I think you should always give yourself the ability and the permission. I hate using that word because us ambitious girls, we do not need permission from nobody. We would rather ask for forgiveness before we ever ask for permission. But for lack of a better word, give yourself that permission to evolve, right? To evolve into more of who you are, to play with the idea of like who you want to be and what's calling in for you right now in your life, in your wants and your desires of like where you want to go. Like, let it be. Like, it's your life, right? Like, I doubt you guys, like, it seems like a big deal. For me, I still have my ankle weights on. Shit. It seems like a big deal for me to let that go because it was like my baby, like businesses are like your baby. But I didn't let it go fully. All I did was just transfer it somewhere else. And guess what? I'll start again. And that's the beauty of having trust in yourself, is that you know that you can start again, and you'll be just fine. We'll leave that for another live, because today I want to talk about how creativity and clarity equals income. And this is what you guys voted for on my story. So I'll always try to give you guys, sometimes I'm just like, oh, I really want to talk about this, but I really want to talk about a lot of things clearly. So having that direction from you guys on what you want to hear about actually really helps me, because obviously, like, it's what you guys want to hear about. You guys will tune in, you guys will resonate with it. It'll help you. It'll be value for you. So like that really helps me. Help me help you. So I always try to put up a little poll, a little like option thing, and you can always DM me about like different things that I speak about if you want me to elaborate on anything. So a lot of you guys chose this topic. It was probably the only topic that has money or income in the title. So I guess no surprise, because that's what really a lot of people are interested in, right? Is like how to create more money, how to create more freedom, how to create more time in their life, more energy. And that's what I love about this, my platform is that's really, and why wellness is always going to be a part of, my method, right? And because it's all goes hand in hand. So in my method, you'll always hear me talk about wellness. You'll always hear me talk about mindset. And of course, in terms of like, creating your business, there's always some strategy, but it's aligned strategy, right? So like, that's what I'm going to actually talk about really today, because when you have clarity and creativity, like where does money come from, right? Like your parents were right when they said money does not grow on trees. It does not just really like appear like out of thin air, right? There's so many ways that you can call that income into your life, and we're not going to talk about like random manifestations where you're just like getting inheritance or anything like that. Hi, Jorge. But we are going to talk about more like income, right? Like doing things like in your business as like an entrepreneur, because that's really where like the people that I love to talk to is on my entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So, of course, money can come from anywhere and anywhere, right? And you could just be open to that. But it can also, usually money comes from people, right? Situations, experiences. It flows through people like an energy, right? It flows through things like an energy, because that's all really money is. That's where all income is. It's an energy. It's an energy exchange, right? So usually people pay you and as a way of appreciation for what it is that you're doing, right? That's really like all it is. It doesn't have to be like this big, heavy thing, which I guess, everybody has a very specific relationship with money and with love, right? So, but money is another really big one. So that's where money comes from. So in order to receive money, right, in order to receive that income, you kind of have to be at that level of that same energy, right? Because if money is energy, you have to kind of be at that same level in order to receive it, right? So that's the key. So you want to align yourself with that energy. And now it's like, how do you do that, right? Because if clarity and creativity equals income, then how do you gain that clarity and creativity? And that's what I'm going to help you with today. And lo and behold, it starts with developing your wellness routine. So it really, really helps, right, to be in that's aligned with your best self. Because when you're aligned with your best self, you are aligned with the ability to see those opportunities that are in front of you, meet the right people, have the right response, not the right reaction, right? The right response to situations, make the right calls, right? The right decisions when things come up, because that's really what a lot of creating a business is just, dealing with problems, right? And making like proper decisions, so in terms of the creation part of it. So when you are at the level of a problem, you're not in the level of receiving an answer, right? It makes a little bit of sense. It sounds a little bit woo-woo, but hell, I'm a little bit woo-woo, and that's just the way it is. Okay, so when you're at a level of a problem or asking a question and things like that, then, you're not really at the level of receiving that answer. So my first advice or my first step that I usually tell people is like that are, usually coming to me with problems or questions and things like that, is like, you need to get yourself to that level where you're allowing to receive what it is that, the answer it is that you're looking for. Because I'm not a psychic. I don't really know, right? So it's only going to be you that knows what that answer is. It's going to be what's most true to you, because it's your experience, it's your life, it's your business, it's whatever it is that you're creating. You're like, that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, right? Is that you're not like just an employee anymore creating a ladder. I mean, like, climbing some corporate ladder, you're creating that ladder. So there's no rules when you're creating a ladder. And that's, I think, what a lot of people get, hung up on is like, please tell me like the strategy, please give me the structure of my day. Please, like, it's on you to create that, right? Obviously, I can help you create that. I can help you kind of align yourself with that a little bit more, but it's really whatever it is that you want. And I think most people don't have people in their lives that can ask them like, what do you want, right? So when you're creating a business, you're essentially just creating your own ladder. So you have to be in a very creative receiving mode. So if you think about how you go on throughout your day usually, right? And you don't have a wellness routine set up, you don't prime yourself for your day, you don't, wake up and you just kind of wake up and go. And I know this firsthand now again, right? Because I've had like a wishy-washy morning routine for many, many years until like I had my baby and I was like, I need like my first daughter. And I was like, okay, like this, I need to level the hell up. So that's what I did. And so my routine became super structured again. Like it's what helped me kind of be a better mom and have that structure and that routine in place. And it really diminished a lot of the stress that I was just experiencing in my life. But I haven't really had one. Well, I've had one for like a good 4 weeks. But before that, I didn't have one for like a good 3 months. So it really helped me understand a lot of you guys better again, because I forgot how crazy it is to like just go out there. I always use this term and it's so vulgar, but so I'm not going to even say it because it's too vulgar for me. But in essence, you're just going out there like with nothing, no protection, no nothing. You're just went out there and you're just facing the world and you're just like letting it come at you, and you got nothing to ground yourself, right? You didn't like tune in with yourself. You didn't like check in with your breath. You didn't check in with yourself. You didn't do anything, right? So you didn't like prime yourself for your day. So I have experienced that for the last 3 months, except for these last 3 weeks. And man, I'm way more reactive, not like responsive, right? So reactive is just like, I just pop off, like I don't have any patience, and it usually, affects like my relationships. It affects how I feel. If like my toddler is, losing her shit, then I'm losing my shit. And it's just like sensory overload, right? So I'm a lot less creative, right? Like, so when it came to like my business, I just felt stuck. I just felt like, like nothing's coming through here, like I'm just so fatigued. I'm so nauseous. All I could think about was like the pain that I was experiencing, the discomfort about, because if you guys don't know, I'm pregnant, right? And so like, that's why I didn't have my routine for 3 months. That whole first trimester, I really struggled to have the energy to have a consistent routine. But again, it was a little bit of a blessing because it really allowed me to understand where a lot of you guys might be if you guys don't have one in place, right? So I was a lot less creative. Like when it came to my business, I was always so like jumping out of bed in the morning, just like ready to like implement all these amazing ideas that I have to create value for you guys and things like that. And it was just so tough. I didn't have that, right? So, and as an entrepreneur running a virtual business, showing up and knowing what to talk about and getting the downloads of like what some of you might need to hear is essential, right? Or else it's like, I have nothing, I have no message, right? And having a virtual business is so important to have your message, dialed down pats, right? So you can deliver that and connect with people and then, eventually, turn those people into clients. That's really what it's all about. But if you're not able to tap into those messages, if you're not able to tap into that creativity of what to offer and things like that, you really got nothing, right? So having that clarity of like what your next steps are going to be, what the next program you're going to put out, and even if you're not even an entrepreneur, you're like a professional or whatever, and you have to solve problems at work, right? Or whatever it is, you still are, need to operate at a level of the answer and not the problem, right? So you can do all of this, right? And you can listen to your best next steps as an entrepreneur, right? Because there's no playbook. There's no playbook. There's nobody telling you how to, what to do every day. There's nobody telling you when to wake up and how to structure your day. You have to learn how to intuitively know and listen for those next best steps for yourself to create that ladder. So the only way to really, it's not the only way, but like the way that I've found in my method, the best way to really be able to tap in and tune in is to have that wellness routine in place, preferably first thing in the morning. I used to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning before my daughter woke up to really, do this for myself. And, again, when I didn't have it, I didn't even know how to like structure my day, like the dishes, like the dishwasher, everything was just like out of whack, right? And so having that wellness routine in place where you tune into your mind, your body, and yourself, you have a ritual or two rituals, some non-negotiables that really help you do that, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's working out, whether it's listening to music. Like right now, I just came back from listening to a bunch of music. I'm pumped. I move my body. Like you guys can probably feel the energy coming from me at the moment because it's the energy of like, yeah, like it's just I'm taking care of my mind, my body, and myself, right? So, and all of that is super, super important, right? And it's the reason that I don't have, things are just flowing. You know what I mean? Like they're just flowing. I don't really have anything specific that I was going to talk about, but my creativity is flowing and it's coming straight to you guys, and I know and I trust that what's going to come out is something that is going to be resonating with you and something that you need to hear. So if any of this is something that you needed to hear, please let me know in the comments, because I would love for this to be more interactive and more connecting, because that's always my intention with these things, is to really connect, not just talk to myself. Right? So when it comes to really tapping into that clarity, tapping into that clarity so your next best steps, tapping into that creativity to make that your most aligned next best step, right? So it's not what somebody else did, right? It's what comes from you, through you, and it's going to be exactly what it is that your audience needs to hear, that your customers need to hear, or whatever it is, right? Because that's the key to creating an aligned business, right? That you're happy with, because it's going to come from you. It doesn't come from somebody else's playbook, right? Somebody else's blueprint. And so when you tune into that, what you're doing is when you tune into your mind, your body, and you take that time to do that with your wellness routine, you really tune into your own intuition. And if you guys have ever listened to any or read about any very successful person, they're always talking about listening to their intuition and listening to their gut and all this and that. And it's like, so how do you do that? Have you guys ever thought, okay, yeah, cool, that's how he made millions, great. But like, how do you do that? And you just do it by practicing tuning into your mind, your body, yourself. And that's it. Because if you don't, then, how do you know? When things come up, your conscious mind is going to be like, no, that's a silly idea. You're just gonna doubt it. You're gonna slap it away. But sometimes things don't make the most sense, and but that is the next best step for you. Something in you knows, and that's your intuition. That's that little voice, and that little voice really gets stronger the more you practice tuning into it. And you do that by establishing your wellness routine and really finding those rituals that work for you. And if you guys don't know, hold on, water. And if you guys pregnancy, water, just nothing, just don't worry about me. If you guys don't know, I have my Zen Hot Wellness method that really talks you through how to pick those rituals, how to really establish those habits, how to work them into your life in a way that works, right? Because I feel like that's where a lot of people fuck up, is that they just go in all in, or they do too much too fast. They bite off way more than they can chew, instead of just accepting, taking it in little by little and going through it and looking for that feedback, and then going through it again, and so on and so forth. And then knowing when to, thank you, Jess says she loves this, thank you. And knowing when to push and when to be kind. And that's kind of something I always say, right? Is there's a time to push and there's a time to be kind. And which one is which, right? When you practice tuning in. And that's the only way. That's the only way. There's no, like my method is very like learning how to tune in with yourself, learning how to trust yourself, building that self-trust, because self-trust is just a muscle like anything else, which is why I even loved fitness to begin with, because it's so parallel with life, with business, with anything, right? Because if you know how you do anything is how you do everything. And when you know how to build muscle or like have discipline with a workout routine or wellness routine, you know how to establish that discipline in your life and establish that discipline in your business, because it's all necessary to have a creative, and aligned business, right? So that's my first thing. And I only have one more kind of, what is it called? Advice. I don't know, tip. I don't know. I don't like using tips, whatever. But, and the only other thing, and mind you guys, this is what I've done myself. Okay. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if these are tips or what they are, because these are really just my life experiences. These are really just tried and true things that I've gone through and have worked. So that's really all I ever teach, right? And so the second thing is that I would say, because, okay, so think about it like this. If I just said earlier on this live that, money is an energy, right? And when you think about that energy of money, it usually comes with like, I don't know, there's like two of you watching at this very moment, right? There's been a few up and downs, but there's two of you watching at this very moment. So when I say money and what you associate with money, what are the words that come up, right? What are the words that come up? So you can write them in the comments. It could be one word things, right? So it could be freedom. It could be excitement. It could be, more time, more energy. It could be playing with your kids. It could be, so many things. So for me, financial freedom, yeah, of course, right? So the other thing I suggest, or tips, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, secrets, suggestions, I don't know, advice, I don't know what I'm giving here, is I'm giving you my life experience. That's really what I'm giving you here. The things that come up for me is also something like that, like financial freedom. So in order to align yourself with the thing that you want that income, you want the money, you want what those things, you don't really want just money, right? Because who cares? It's a piece of paper. That's really all it is. And somebody just decided, now that's worth something, right? Just like chicken eggs were worth something at some time that we were trading and so on and so forth. But what you really want is that financial freedom. What you really want is that playtime with your kids. What you really want is the things that money gives you, So what is a way that you can inject that into your life right now, right? So one of my biggest values is in little sayings that I always say, whether it's in class or whatever, is if it ain't fun, it ain't worth it, okay? Because I know that money for me always equals fun. Like money is at the energy of, at the level of like fun, play, freedom, whether, whatever it is that I'm doing, whether it's I'm at a spa, I'm working out, whatever it is. So really hone in on what that would mean to you, right? Freedom to do what, right? Freedom to buy certain things, freedom to spend your time in a certain way, freedom to what, right? So I always have this value in my business and in my life that if it ain't fun, it ain't worth it. So I always, check in with that. So even before Instagram became a video platform or whatever, Reels started to get big, and I was like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to dance in front of the camera or whatever? And then I thought, yeah, I do. It's fun for me. It really is fun for me. In high school, I was in the dance team. I've always had this entertainer part of me. And for me, it's fun. Okay. So because trust me, when my daughter's off at school or she was with her nanny at that time, I'm like, is this I'm giving up time with my daughter to make these dance videos. Is that okay? And then I was just like, okay, yeah, I checked in with my values, right? And at the same time, I know that fun is at that level as well, right? Fun is always going to be what I want anyway, right? It's what I want anyway, right? I want to have fun with my family. I want to go places with my family. And I know that that's what income and money or whatever will give me, right? So how can you do that right now? How can you do that today? How can you start injecting that into your life? And I think like play and fun and stuff like that is something that is the first to go, as we get older. And we forget. I mean, having a toddler definitely makes it easier because you're just like, I don't know, my daughter was like raised in the pandemic, so I felt like I had to be everything for her, and we had to dance and we had to sing, and I was like her total entertainment. So it really like brought back those like fun things, So, we're dressing up and all this stuff. It's just so much fun, right? So how can you inject more of that money energy into your life, right? So to recap, right? Definitely establish your wellness routine, figure out those rituals. And if you want the link to my Zen AF challenge, which is how, I walk you through like the whole thing. I'm going to redo it at some point. Shh, don't tell anybody, but I'm going to redo it at some point. But I still have the link if you guys want access to that. I literally walk you through how to establish your rituals and how to establish better habits and things like that to really align yourself with your best self. Does this mean, so Jess says, does this mean when you're working, it should be fun? Okay, or is that the end goal? So that's a super good question, Jess. And actually one of my other topics that I had people vote on was hustle versus grind. Because I think hustle got such a bad rap, and I just don't agree with it because I fucking love the word hustle. You know why? Because hustle is aligned work. And the big misconception is that like, oh, you should just be like fucking dancing and having fun while you're working. But no, what it feels like when you're doing something with like your purpose and like you're helping people or you're doing whatever that is that comes from you, right? Whatever it is. And if you want to check out my first IG Live, Hella Ambitious episode or whatever, I talk about how to create your purpose, or how to find your purpose or whatever. The hustle, right? Like the work, it shouldn't feel like work. Of course, and it's so funny, again, so parallel, like how to, my Zen AF challenge, how to create habits and how to do all that stuff. Sometimes there's like a moment of like, you got to push a little bit just to get that proper feedback. So sometimes you are going to be doing shit that you don't want to know, you don't want to do. Okay. So like there's a lot of things as a solopreneur that I had to do that I didn't really want to do, and I was good at it. And it doesn't mean that it's something that I'm supposed to do forever, right? And that was like the tech side of my business. So websites, videos, that, like all sorts of things that come in the back end of having a virtual business, I know how to do. And I finally decided and realized I don't like doing it, right? It takes too much of my energy to really do it. Yes, I did it. Yes, I got shit done. Yes, I moved through that resistance because I had to, right? And the feedback that I got later on was like, this is going to be the first thing I delegate, right? Which is like now what I'm like in the position and I'm able to do, right? So there's a time where it might feel like, oh, like this sucks or whatever, but it doesn't have to be for always, right? Especially if you're building your own business, and that's usually what I'm talking about here. And you're a solopreneur, sometimes you are going to have to learn how to do that stuff. Unless you have the funds, right, to just outsource it right away, then go ahead and do that. If you get that feedback instantly, oh yeah, this tech shit is not for me. There's definitely somebody else that could do this, and I'm not going to, but man, this is a thing. This is why I just did it, because I didn't have the funds to begin with, right? I was, creating my own business, so I wanted to use my own business income to grow it. And I didn't have the funds, so I just did what I needed to do myself, right? But, it was going to be the first thing that I knew I was going to delegate, right? So the first thing I knew I was going to delegate is going to be some of that tech stuff, the miscellaneous stuff that I have to do that I don't like doing, because I realized it's not the energy that I wanted to, it's just not the energy that it just took too much energy from me, right? And I would rather, my energy is best used on, creating content like this, or whatever else, the fun stuff that I want to do, right? So to me, this is fun. To me, and I'm working right now. So, it depends, right? Because, I don't know what you do and things like that. But so it could be something like the end goal, which right now this is the end, like, or not really the end goal, but like I'm definitely doing the things that I love at this very moment. And I'm definitely delegating the things that I know that I don't want to do. So at first I did have to do them all myself, and that wasn't so much fun, but I found a way to make things fun. If you have integrity, if you have the awareness, you can find a lot of value in everything that you're doing. But when you get to a certain point and you know, like, this isn't good, Jess, I'm glad this all makes sense. And you get to a point where you know, like, this part of it isn't fun anymore. I like this part a little bit more, and I'm going to put more. It's the 80-20 rule, right? Where, where the 80, like, where 80% of like the return actually comes from is like this part that you actually love to do. And that other stuff you can delegate, you can outsource, you could do other things, but there might be a time where you have to like go through it a little bit more reluctantly, or just find that energy in you, get it done, and then move on, right? Just to like front load that work. So yeah, so that's what it feels like to grind it out, right? It's like, oh, like I'm just doing all this shit and like I'm getting nothing from it. That's the grind, where you're just like putting out so much energy and all these things that you actually don't love. It usually means that you're just like in some rut, or in some like, really like shitty place, and you know how long that's going to be. If you're doing you're just perpetuating that rut, or you're like, okay, I'm going to front load this work, gonna make some money, then I'm going to delegate it out. So that's what I did. And then the hustle, it's still work. You still got to show up, but it doesn't feel like you're grinding, right? It feels aligned. It feels like I fucking love this. Like right now, like I'm like, I love this. I love what I'm doing. I'm going to take, 30 minutes out of my day to do this, when I could be doing anything else or whatever else, right? So that's what the hustle feels like. It feels aligned. It doesn't even feel like work, even though you are working. So that's the misconception. That's where I feel like hustle got a bad rap. And I just did a whole topic that I didn't plan on doing, but I'm so glad you asked that. But yeah, and it could be in your work, and it could be in something else, just any part of your day, because you don't have to just be, and this is one of the big things that I learned this year, is that you don't have to be doing in order to receive, right? You don't have to be in the doing in order to receive. You don't have to be working or whatever. You don't have to be on the live. You don't have to be creating content. You don't have to be doing all that stuff in order to receive. I could be playing with my daughter, and then I can have a payment come in for one of my series, right? I had already front loaded that work. I already did the work. That energy is already out there, and now it's just time for me to receive. I'm having fun with my daughter. We're at the beach. We're at Lake Tahoe. We're wherever we're at, and that payment can come in wherever, right? And I just have to be, I get to be open for that receiving, right? So, but I've already done the work, I've already put out those programs. I've already, my content already has that energy injected into it. I can just be in that receiving energy, that fun energy. And, personally, I've done a lot of like work in general, and I've developed that into my own wellness routine practice of like, I get to receive whenever, I get to receive when I'm having fun. I get to receive when I'm sleeping. I get to receive when I'm resting, when I'm doing all these things that are not that easy for me, because I feel like I had that belief for a long time that I had to do and go. So again, we get deeper into it, but for right now, yes, I feel like I'm at the place with my current businesses, but I feel like I'm denying my real purpose in life. Check out my first IG lives for this series, the Hella Ambitious series. I talk about finding your purpose. Again, like, and something that I mentioned is like, maybe your purpose isn't always going to be in your work. Like I have some friends that they go to like, mortgage loan jobs and like these like receptionist jobs, but then they have like these like vacation homes that they gather so many people at and have these beautiful experiences. And like, maybe that's their purpose, maybe it's not in there, just in their job. So there's so many ways to find your purpose. It just has to feel good and fulfilling and meaningful and purposeful, right? When you wake up in the morning, do you feel excited? I will say this, absolutely, it's always going to be in my series. And I'll be adding it to my podcast whenever that comes out. Yeah, so don't worry, all of the stuff is saved for sure. So yeah, so let's just recap real quick. Clarity and creativity, they equal income, because when you are in alignment, right? When you're in alignment, that's when you are able to operate from your best self, respond to situations, and see the opportunities, right? When you're operating from a stressful place, from a fight or flight place, literally a different place in your brain, here's creativity, here's, focus, here's clarity, and then stress is like back here, survival mode, all like fight or flight, all that stuff is back here. So when you don't, so tip number one, set up your wellness routine so that you can switch your perspective, be able to be open for those opportunities, see those opportunities throughout your day, and be, ready for them, right? You're looking for those versus looking to just survive, right? So when you're able to do that, you're able to respond, you're able to see all those things, because your intuition, right? You're able to connect with yourself more, your intuition more, and your intuition really just leads you to your next best steps. Because remember, we are creating the ladder here. We're building that ladder. We're not just climbing it in some corporate place where, they already have shit, somebody's already built that ladder, right? So right here is where we're creating it, and that's what we get to do as entrepreneurs. We get to create the life that we want. We get to create the businesses that we want. We get to do that in a way where, it aligns with what we want ultimately, again, because think about that energy of money. And so this is the second thing. Think about that energy of money. Why do you even want that? Why do you even want that income? Really think about it. Journal it out. And see what comes up for you, because the reason, and then see how you can inject that into your life, right? See how you can inject fun, love, play, freedom, right? So like, even like me working out right now for 30 minutes, that's freedom, right? Because a lot of people think that they don't have that, right? So, and because they go to work, for however many hours, they come home, they got to take care of the kids, they got to feed their family, they got to do all this stuff. And then next thing you know, they have no time for themselves. So for me, even working out 30 minutes is saying, hey, subconscious, hey, universe, hey, whatever, I have freedom to do what I want and to take care of myself. I deserve this, right? So all those little things add up. And that's another Zen AF kind of like tagline. Do these small things, they add up to bigger things. They equal bigger things. So even if it seems like working out for 30 minutes isn't, some grandiose thing that's going to lead you to income, it's communicating something to the universe. It's communicating something to your subconscious saying, I'm the boss and I get to, call this in however I want. I get to receive however I want, whenever I want. And I'm going to be in that energy of play, of fun, because that's the energy of money, So if you guys have any other questions, I'd love to answer them. If not, I'm going to save this. I'm going to log off, and I'm also going to invite you to, if you want to, I have some spots left for business intensives, and this really helps you get clear on your goals, get a very amazing action plan towards your goals. You get 90 minutes with me, and then and you also get your wellness routine with me, right? Because that's always going to be part of my method. It goes hand in hand in my eyes and in my method. So, and then you get 7 days of Voxer support to implement everything that we talked about in your action plan. So go ahead and DM me the word action if you wanted to talk more about it, have a little chat. And yeah, so I have 2 more spots at that intro rate right now until the mid-month. Okay, so whoever takes up those spots first, you get the intro rate for that. And so I only have 2 more spots left for that. And I'm also taking applications for my 3-month coaching program. So this is if you want a little bit more high touch, high level, like you want me like in your pocket every single day, weekly calls and all the things, and also access to all my Power Through series, all my wellness and mindset programs and everything like that. You get full access to everything. So anyways, go ahead and DM me the word action if you want to chat a little bit and see which option is good for you. And also, if you're watching this on the replay, let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and also let me know your biggest takeaways. All right, you guys, adios.